Once upon a time, there was a farmer and his name was Boris. Old Boris lived in a small farm in the Russian countryside. He had spent all his life tending to animals and growing vegetables, but he had never ever seen a winter so bad when the harvest was so poor. He was very worried. Oh, it's been raining for weeks and weeks and we have nothing, no vegetables. We are going to die hungry in this winter.
Oh, don't worry, Boris. You are so grumpy and old,
said his wife, Katya, who was a pleasant old lady.
Come here, Boris. I have something to show you.
Katya took Boris into the farm and there she showed him something that Boris had never ever seen before.
Oh, what is that?
Peered Boris into the ground.
I have never seen a turnip so big.
See, I told you, Boris, you worry too much. This turnip is so big, it's going to be good enough for all the people of the village and we are not going to go hungry.
Boris was happy and that night he fell asleep peacefully. In the morning, he was all set to pull out the enormous turnip. So with all his tools, he went into the farm and he started pulling the turnip out.
It is much too big and it is really hard to pull out.
Oh, Boris, I'm going to help you a little bit, said Katya.
Oh, don't be funny. You're a frail old woman. What help will you be of?
Let me help, Boris. Don't be your grumpy old self, will ya?
And so Katya came and held Boris around his waist and they both started pulling. They pulled and they pulled and they pulled until they both fell down on the muddy ground and they were covered with mud.
Oh, so funny!
That is so funny, Grandpa and Grandma. You look so funny, all covered with mud. Let me help you. I'm going to come and help you. They both turned around and saw their grandson, Ivan.
Oh, Ivan, you are just 6 years old. What are you going to help?
Come along, Ivan, said Katya. Come, put your arms around my waist and let's all help Grandpa Boris pull out the enormous turnip.
And so Boris was right in front, Katya held him at the waist, and tiny little Ivan held his grandmother at the waist, and the three of them started pull, and pulling the turnip, but three of them fell down, and this time tiny little Ivan too got covered from head to toe in mud. Just then they heard a funny sound.
Meh. Meh, meh.
All three of them turned around and they saw a goat from their farm.
May I also help you? Come on, little goat, put your hooves around Ivan's tummy.
And so old Boris was right in front. Katya held him around his waist, little Ivan held his grandmother at the waist, and the goat put its hooves around Ivan. And then they all started pulling and they went pull, and all four of them fell down on the ground and the enormous turnip was still stuck in the ground where it was. Oh, this is so bad. It is not as easy as it looks, said Ivan.
I told you so. This is going to be a big job. All of you are so weak. I need some strong men from around the farm. All of you stay here. I'm going to be right back.
Just then, they all heard a sound. They all turned around and they saw the farm dog Zilya. Oh, Zilya, come here. What do you want? Said Ivan.
I also want to help you, master.
Come on, Zilya. put your paws around the goat. And so Boris was right in front. Katya held him by the waist. Ivan was behind Katya. The goat put its hooves around Ivan, and tiny little Zelia, the dog, put her paws around the goat. And they all went, pull, pull, pulling. And they pulled so hard that they all fell down on the ground, huffing and puffing. They all were panting by now.
This is no good. This is an exercise in futility,
said Boris angrily.
Oh, come on, Boris. Keep quiet. Let's all give it another try.
And they all stood up to give it another try. Just then, they heard a squeak.
Squeak, squeak. Squeak, squeak. Squeak, squeak.
They all turned around, and who did they see? A tiny little mouse.
What do you want now, tiny little mouse?
Boomed Boris.
Squeak, squeak. Let me also help you. I want to help you. Whenever the harvest was good, me and my family nibbled on lots of your turnips. We want to say sorry. Maybe this is just a way of saying sorry. Let me also help you. Squeak, squeak.
It's going to take an army of mice to pull out this enormous turnip. What are you talking about, you tiny little mouse? Run along, run along.
Exactly my point. Together, we are so powerful. Maybe my little help will do the trick. My little strength will help you pull out the turnip. He has a point, Boris. Come on, tiny little mouse, join us.
And Boris shook his head angrily, and he was right in front. Katya held him by the waist. Ivan held his grandmother. The goat held Ivan. Zelia, the dog, held the goat. And the tiny little mouse held Zelia.
Pull, 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 and pull.
They all fell down, but pop, out came the enormous turnip. Everybody was so happy, they jumped up with joy. Hooray! The enormous turnip is out. Boris got up, cleaning himself, and then he looked at all of them and he said,
Oh, I'm really sorry, folks. I didn't imagine that even the tiniest of us has the strength. All you need is the willingness to do something. Oh, I'm so happy. Now nobody's going to go hungry this winter.